Once you've retrieved the machine from the storage room, go ahead and access the power cord on the rear of the machine and plug it into the extension cord in your bay. Next, we'll switch the machine on. The switch is located on the rear of the machine, and access our high side and low side service hoses. Now we need to remove the caps from the low side and high side service ports. You want to keep these for reinstallation after you're finished. Go ahead and hook the high side and low side hoses to the service ports and open the couplers fully clockwise. Check the used oil bottle on the side of the machine and empty it into an appropriate container. Reinstall the used oil bottle in the machine and close the lid. Go ahead, if you haven't already done so, turn on your high side and low side couplers fully clockwise, and you'll notice that the gauges now read pressure. This is called static pressure. From the main menu, you're going to go ahead and push manual and then recover. Follow the on-screen instructions to begin the process. Once the machine begins the recovery process, this can take several minutes to complete. Once the process begins, the touch screen will display the status of the recovery process and alert you when the process is complete. You'll notice the gauges on the high side and low side will start to move towards zero and eventually into a vacuum, showing the absence of pressure in the AC system. Both low side and high side gauges should read vacuum. Once the machine is finished, go ahead and follow the on-screen instructions. At this point, we can click the printer button and print off a summary of the recovery process, or we can click next and move on to the vacuum process. We're now going to pull the vehicle system into a vacuum, and we need to tell the machine a value. 30 minutes is the minimum time you want to have the vacuum process happen. Any less than that's not enough time. Follow the on-screen instructions. The vacuum process is going to take at least 30 minutes. And what this process does is it allows any moisture in the system to be boiled out of the system. Moisture is not our friend. While this process is happening, we can look up our specification for the type of refrigerant and the amount that the system holds. This can either be found under the hood of the vehicle or in ShopKey Pro. Go ahead and hit recharge and then enter the amount of the specification and hit enter. Follow the on-screen instructions and hit enter. Now the charging process will begin. You'll notice the pressures will rise in both the high side and low side gauges, and you'll get a status screen showing you the process status. Is finished, you'll be prompted to remove the high side hose after turning the valve counterclockwise. And now you'll be instructed to start the vehicle engine and turn the AC to max, all while leaving the low side hose attached and fully open. This will help draw in the rest of the refrigerant to the AC system. Go ahead and click enter, and the process will begin. Once completed, you'll be instructed to turn off the service coupler and remove the low side service hose, reattaching it to the machine. Now, follow the on-screen instructions, and you'll notice that the hoses will equalize and empty. And now we are ready for our performance test. Go ahead and hit the printer button to have a print off of the amount of refrigerant that was recovered and recharged to the machine or to the vehicle. We can give this to the customer. Now you can either use the manifold gauge set, or you can just reattach the machine, because either way we'll have our pressure gauges there so that we can monitor the system pressures on the high and low side while the AC system is turned to the max setting. So reattach the hoses, turn the valves on clockwise, and grab your temperature thermometer. And you'll insert this in the center vent near the radio or infotainment system. Start the vehicle and turn the AC on max, recirculation, and close all windows and doors. You'll notice that the low side and high side gauges are going to have some readings. Low side is usually somewhere between 25 and 35 psi, where the high side is usually somewhere between 150 and 250. This is going to change due to temperature in the shop. You'll notice that our gauge is now reading about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And so our test is complete after we record high side, low side values and the temperature. Now we must remove our high side, low side couplers, returning the service hoses to the machine. Make sure you wind up all hoses and cords and turn the machine off. Again, the power switch is on the rear of the machine. Go ahead and unplug the power cord and wind it up on the back of the machine. Last but not least, let's return our service port caps. And now the process is complete.